Hey everyone, welcome to Real Talk with Ellasin, and I am Ellasin. Listen, I don't need you guys to be selfish. I need you to go ahead and like if you on Facebook and show a sister some love and subscribe if you are on YouTube, okay? So we are on Real Talk. We talk about real issues that impact the community as a whole, and we are here to get information out. So with that being said, we're about to get this show started. Hey everyone, I'm Ellison, and on today's show, we are discussing preventing youth victimization can help prevent behind the fences. We are talking about helping our youth. We are talking about helping the adults. We are going to be talking about how us as a community can help our people out. With that being said, every 100,000, listen to what I'm about to say. Every 100,000 Black juvenile living in the United States so listen to me. There's 315 placed in some kind of detention facility. So 315 out of every 100,000 Black youth are placed in that's a high number, especially when you look at it being 92% for the Hispanic youth and 72% for the Caucasian youth. That number was alarming to me, right? So I also did some research, and it said that there are 2 million people in the nation's prisons and jails. That is a 500% increase over the last 40 years. 500% increase, right? And that's to say not every youth that is in a detention center is for a crime, because you have things like truancy, underage drinking, running away from home, different things like that. But the number is still high. So I have some special guests with me on today to help us talk about this and see what can we do, right? So today I have with me Sergeant Wilfred Antoine.
Hello, how you doing today? Hey, how you doing?
How are you, sir?
I'm well. I appreciate the opportunity you're giving me to speak on such a major event that's plaguing our youth in our community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Sergeant, tell us a little about yourself.
So my name is Sergeant Wilfred Antoine. I'm a counselor in training for drug and alcohol, substance abuse addictions, and I'm also a reentry supervisor at the local parish jail where I live in the community in Plaquemine Parish, Louisiana. We try to rehabilitate the guys for when they're going home and try to sustain them with jobs and other means of opportunities to help them stay from coming back to visit us.
Okay. All right. All right. And then we have my sister from another mister. Y'all know this real talk. My co-host, Jaquita Garrett. And she used to also be a juvenile correctional officer. Hey.
Hi everyone. How are you? How are you, Sergeant Antoine and Ellison? I am happy to be back again,
Yes.
co-host, sister from another mother, father, bestie. But I'm excited to be here tonight to cover the topic that we're covering. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be exciting, and I think it's going to be very informative.
Yes, I can't wait to dive into this. So listen, if you guys are on, whether y'all are on Facebook or YouTube, make sure y'all talk back to us, right? This is an important topic because, not only the youth, but even the adults, if they come back into the community, they're part of our community. So this is an important topic. You guys make sure you share it out. So I want to start off with this question. And Jaquita, I'm gonna come to you first. Does the environment affect a child's behavior?
Absolutely. The environment does affect a child's behavior. I would say mostly when the home is broken or a parent isn't present, it does reflect on the child's behavior to thrive or to be able to adapt in the community. Um, I believe the statistics are lower when the home is not broken. However, I do believe that, you know, uh, it can be broken as well coming from a home that isn't broken.
Yeah.
But mainly, yes, that is true.
Okay. Okay. And Sergeant, listen. So early intervention prevents the onset of maybe perhaps delinquent behavior, right? And support to develop the youth, assets and their resilience. So with hearing that, how can parents, grandparents, guardians, anybody in the community be there for the children in an attempt to keep them from getting into trouble?
So first thing is, the parents today, we have to stop trying to be friends of the children.
Uh-oh. Out the
And
gate.
and by that I mean, I understand that the parents today are younger than what our parents were coming up.
Mhm.
So now what's happening is the parents want to be friends instead of being parents and
Yes.
chastise their kids accordingly. And when you move in that direction, of course, the kids are going to move to be doing
Mhm.
what the parents are doing. Like,
Right.
I'm seeing this on a everyday level where I'm speaking to some of the guys that's incarcerated where I am, okay? And in the process of seeing all this, I'm having guys telling me that their parents is 13, 14, and 15 years older than them. So with all that being said, we have booty shaking moms in the same clubs as the kids, and they're not wanting to do what needs to be done, and that's chastise and raise your kids. And when other people try to raise the kids, the first thing they want to do is chastise the grown up,
Come
and
on
that's
now.
where we have so many disconnects in our communities.
Yes. You said booty
Woo!
shaking. I don't even
Well,
know all what you said,
I
but
couldn't
I
say it
said,
all,
Lord
but
have mercy. If that ain't the truth, what you say, buoy, bumping,
booty
shaking?
shaking, twerking, whatever you want to say it. I'm just raw and uncut, so please forgive me.
No, this is real talk, so it's okay.
Okay, so all
Real,
right now.
and you know what the sad thing about it is, you're correct. I feel like sometimes we've gotten away from being parents and we want to be their friends, and or sometimes perhaps we didn't have our childhood because of some things. So now we have unfortunately started living vicariously through our children, and we think we about the same age too.
I
Right?
agree with that 100%. Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. So the things that we can do is stop being their friend. That's what I heard you hear. That's what I heard you hear. That's what I heard you say, is to stop being friends with them and know our role.
That
Know
is
our
correct.
role. We need to know our role. Right? So remember in the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. How do we get back? How do we get back to that?
We get back to that by not being scared to let other adults correct our kids. When we were coming up, our parents, if they weren't home and we did something, the neighbors and the cousins and the aunts and the uncle that were older corrected us. Today, you can't even get corrected by a teacher in class without the parents wanting to go and fuss and fight with the teacher. Now,
Right.
all things being considered with the police and everything that's going on, if you look at a whole lot of news and when everything is happening, first thing the mom come out and say, "Oh, my kid didn't do this, my kid didn't do that." When I was coming up, if I did something wrong, whether
Mhm.
the adult was right or wrong, I got chastised at that point. Now,
Right.
my mom and dad went behind the scenes and dug further into it. And if the adult was wrong, I did not know my mom and dad approached them till later on in life. Right now, we're trying to correct adults in front of the kids. And that's also a problem because we're not giving our kids wrong when they're wrong and right when they're right. Our kids are always right now, adults are always wrong, if that makes sense.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Listen, that makes a whole lot of sense. Listen, you are watching Real Talk with Ellasin. Go ahead and type in Real Talk with Ellasin on YouTube. This way you can see the show. or go ahead and watch it on Facebook. You type in Real Talk with Ellasin, right? So thank you for sharing that. And I would like to agree with you, because I know, being raised, and I went to a private school, I remember the teachers could spank you back then too. You know, so they could spank you as well. So, and then the neighbor would get you. So you got it from the teacher, you got it from the neighbor, and then you got it when you got home.
Right.
But right now, it appears that sometimes we're missing the involvement. So I want to say this: African American youth have the highest rate of involvement compared to other racial groups. Right? They make up 16% of youth in the generation. The general population, and about 30% of juvenile court referrals, and 38% of youth in resident places, and 58% of the youth admitted into state adult prisons. I was alarmed when I heard that we have some juveniles going into state prisons with grown folks. So, Jaquita, you was with the juveniles, right? Isn't
Correct.
the mindset different than adults? And then, Sergeant, I want to come to you with another question.
Okay.
Yes, the mindset is absolutely different. A lot of times, though, just to be clear, when a juvenile is sometimes transported to an adult facility, it's the nature of the crime as well. So let's say, for example, a kid who committed murder, or he raped someone, he was a rapist. A lot of times they're held at a certain standard. They say, okay, well, now we're going to try you as an adult as opposed to a juvenile. So yeah, is it at 15 years old, does that kid have the proper mindset to say, I know exactly what I'm doing? I mean, I wouldn't say he has the same mindset as a 25-year-old or 23-year-old as opposed to being a 15-year-old, but it depends on the nature of the crime. And yes, they can be thrown into an adult facility. But it's like I said, it's the nature of the crime that possibly took place for them to be ported into the adult facility.
Right. Okay. So it's the nature of the crime, but is it still, and Sergeant, I think this is more so geared towards you, the nature of the crime, but is it still appropriate for the age?
Well, I don't believe it's appropriate for the age, because let's think about this. Anytime you put someone, you incarcerate someone, okay, you take them out of their natural state of existence. So when we move in that way, what happens is you're taking this kid and you're putting him with adults who's going to take advantage of him. So now he learns how to survive. And once he's learned how to survive by guys that's taking advantage of him and doing other things that's not natural for a kid to be involved in, it takes and it hardens him to the point where he has no emotions, he has no feelings. So we're not rehabilitating him at that point. In other words, we're making him a worse individual. So whether he's a murderer or whatever, we still, at a certain age, can we rehab him? I hate to say it, everyone is not salvageable. Okay, let's look at high school, and I'm taking this from my major, who always that's one of his favorite sayings: everyone is not salvageable, but the ones that's are, you can reach them. But the ones that aren't, you're going to be able to tell the difference by the time you would let them stay incarcerated, whether it's juvenile or state penitentiaries, like you're saying. So we're at a crossroad here as how do we come to find out which one's going to be salvageable and which ones are not?
That's good.
And when you put them in that existence, even the salvageable ones has to learn how to defend themselves. And what happens is they harden, and now the salvageable ones aren't salvageable anymore.
Wow. That's deep, and that's speaking to me right now, because again, they did an adult crime, but yet they're still youth. And right? It's almost as if they were put in the role. And I wanna go back to the environment, because one, if if a child was victimized, right, at a young age, let's say they were victimized, whether it be sexually, emotionally, or whether they seen violence, they seen crime, they grew up in this environment, and all of this stuff like that, that we know that plays a role in how they act in our community. So now you're taking this child who was already probably victimized as a child, and now they're a teenager, and we're putting them in an adult facility with grown folks. That's all. I don't know what y'all hashtag grown, because they grown folks. Hashtag grown, because and I'm asking you, how does that affect their mental health? You said they got to be hardened. So I'm in this role I don't know nothing about.
So, and I was going to speak on that. So when we spoke about environments at first, okay, you have to look at a whole lot. So yes, the environment does play a major part in the kids, because the environment controls the mental well-being of the kid. Okay, so when the environment is not up to par, that kid learn what he know in the environment, whether it's loving, caring, or whether it's stealing, robbing, or killing. So the environment plays a whole part to it. And with all that being said, the mental health is the most important aspect that we miss out on when we're dealing with the youth of today. So
right.
Dr. Jason Wilson, who wrote a book called Battle Cry, I hope I'm not infringing on anything. Like he said, we have broken boys. And in the process of these broken boys, they're coming from an environment where nobody's really taking these kids and teaching them how to become men and molding them. Yeah. And they are being traumatized. So
right.
What they do is what they know. Like I had a kid in here, he's like 21 years old, if that. Been in jail since he was 18. So I grew to him. So we talk a lot, right? And I said, man, why would you commit armed robbery at that age? He said, Sarge, we had to eat. I said, who was we? My mom, me, my sisters, and brothers. Talking about 17, 18-year-old. His environment taught him, I have to pick up a gun and go in this store and do what I do because my family needs to eat.
Right.
And he's been doing this kind of stuff since he was 15.
Yeah.
So that's for the environment. That's what we lose him, because okay, this kid doing this. Why is he doing this? What mental part do we have that's making him do what he's doing? And nobody's questioning that. We want to cover him and put him in jail.
Yeah. So that I like that you said that. Go ahead. I like that you said that, because okay, so I'm doing this, right? And Jaquita, I'm coming to you. I'm doing this because we need to eat, right? I heard you say that he was doing what he was doing because he needed to, unfortunately, step up into the adult role to make sure his siblings ate. So now here we have this youth that was forced almost to do this for the betterment of his siblings, right? And Quita, now he's into the detention center. How do I take a person who was trying to feed somebody, put them in a detention center with other children who are probably robbing, stealing, whatever the case may be? Does the system affect our youth? And Quita, I'm coming to you with that.
Yes. So like Sergeant Wilfred said, though, the environment is what kind of molds our kids as well. Going back to the environment prior to the system taking over, I believe that it starts at home with the parent. Like the example he gave us with the robbery charge that the guy had. He was 18, now he's 22, and he's sitting in jail serving a lot of time. I myself grew up in a poverty-stricken area. I grew up uptown, 12th Ward, New Orleans, Louisiana. And my mom, I watched her go through some extremely hard times. So I can kind of relate to what it's like to not have something to eat or not having lights in the home. So I can relate to a lot of these juveniles. I think the environment, it starts with the home. I think a lot of times, like you said, having a relationship with your kids is where it starts to mold you, regardless of whether it's a two-parent home or a one-parent home. I mean, hey, I was the product of my dad being addicted to crack cocaine, but my mother was not.
Right.
So he was the one who was hustling and grinding and working jobs and leaving us at home saying, don't open the door, and teaching us, hey, that's disrespectful. Get it together. So she kind of kept us afloat. You know, thank God she had the
Yeah.
mental health status to be able to keep us strong. As my
Well, let
brothers
me
grew
pull
up.
off what you
Go
said
ahead.
though. You
Hmm.
said she was there saying, lock the doors, keep it, keep the
Hmm.
doors this way, lock the doors, whatever, whatever. Your mother was
Hmm.
still instilling, positives into you.
Right.
We have children who don't have the parent home. We
Hmm.
have the children we have the children who don't have the parent home. We have the
Hmm.
children, like Sergeant said, that are out there stealing because I need to help take care of my siblings. And then we
Right.
have the children who are out there selling drugs, doing whatever they want to do
Hmm.
and the parents know it because, hey, this is how the bills are getting paid. So, but the ones that were doing good, and I don't like to say it like that, but I'm stealing because I need my siblings to eat. How
Hmm.
does the correctional facility mess with their mental stability now that I'm in here with other kind of crimes?
Well, I think what it is in the juvenile setting, to kind of bring it back to that. So what I was saying with the environment is that the mom or the father or whoever's in the household has to really buckle down to instill in them, because the parents know that it's wrong regardless,
Mm-hmm.
and it shouldn't be, the responsibility shouldn't be placed on a child. Unfortunately, a lot of the responsibility has been placed on a child, and it should not be. Sometimes I think when a kid first enters a juvenile facility, no matter the crime, they have this I don't know, I guess this perception of what they've seen on TV, that I got
Yeah.
to be hard when I go in here. I got to go in here and act like I don't care about the world. So they come in there with a jail-like mentality from what they seen on TV and
Mm-hmm.
never really saw or know
Mm-hmm.
what happens when you first enter a facility. So a lot of times they're coming in there, they're being smart by the mouth. They don't want to listen to the corrections officers who are trying to groom them to do better and rehabilitate them. So then
Mm-hmm.
they're a product of the kid in the next cell acting like, okay, well, I have to be hard to show this individual, and they being smart with the correction officers, or they coming out, they spitting, they fighting. They just doing
Right.
that to build this image for themselves. And it's really,
It's not that's
unfortunately,
not. Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, when kids get together, it's like being in the classroom. It's a class clown. It starts off like that in an adult facility, I'm sure, and in a juvenile facility. And a lot of times in these juvenile facilities, they still really, really, really well protected and well grounded. In the facility I worked in, there wasn't a two-man cell. Every kid had to have its own cell with its own bathroom area.
Right.
So it's not the same. So the kids who even come through our system, it's like, oh, this ain't nothing. Once they get in there about a week or two and they sitting, they learning how it works. And it's
Right.
not the same in a juvenile facility as an adult facility. So I
Right.
think that right there is scary in itself, because they think they hard, and when they go to switch
And
over
then
and
when
they
they
do
get with the
turn,
grown folks, right?
yes.
So there was a question that I wanted to address. It says, and we have this too. What if they have been taught but still hang out with the wrong crowd, right? I wanna address that, but I want to tie that in. And Sarge, I'm coming to you. I want to tie that into what percentage of the adult prisoners were previous juveniles? I mean, we don't even have to go into the percentage, but is there a connection between, well, if I was in juvie, then I'm going to go to prison, so I want to tie that in together.
So I really don't know the percentage, but I really, talking to a lot of the guys that's in there, a lot of them have juvenile records. So,
Mm,
kind of piggybacking off of what Ms. Jaquita was saying is, you know, the way the system is set up in juvenile now, this is my belief. I believe the juvenile system are setting them up for the adult system
mm.
because, you know, certain things like a
Whoa,
juvenile.
whoa, wait, hold on. Let me process that. So the system, what I'm hearing you to say is the system is kind of grooming them?
That is my belief, yes, ma'am. Because when you look at juvenile systems today, even though they are teaching them, well, they're supposed to have schools and other alternative alternatives for them guys to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if a juvenile do something, you really can't touch them. They can fight up on the deputies. They can do whatever they want to do. And here we go again with the discipline. There's really no discipline in the juvenile system for the kids besides lock you up, put you in this room, and more or less a timeout. These kids aren't warrant a timeout. They warrant some stricter type of discipline. And by not being able to discipline them, that's where we loses everything.
Sarge, hold on. Let's just take this totally from the correctional system. If we could chastise these kids now, right? Because we kind of talked about this a little bit. The chastisement needs to start at home, but there's so many rules, government rules or regulations of what you can't do, with your children anymore. So that kind of segues right into what you're saying. So we can't chastise our kids anymore. Schools can't pray with them anymore. Like what can we do with these kids instead of let them just be? Go ahead.
And that's where I was going at. So you took God out of schools. When we came up, you said prayer, you said the Pledge of Allegiance, and you moved on, right? For your day. Yeah. Kid mess up, you whip their behind with a switch, a spoon, a extension cord, you name it,
whatever you can find.
Today, if I scold my kid and grab him by the arm in Walmart, I'm going to jail.
Yeah.
Now when my kid is in the street doing what he's doing, because I'm in jail because of what I did, the judge is saying, okay, well, now we're going to put him in a foster home. So what that leads to, that kid doing what he's doing, and now we have a problem. Then he get in the juvenile system, and then from the juvenile system, we preparing him to move forward.
My God.
Into the prison system.
Wow. That is so much. Listen, guys, you watching Real Talk with Ellasin. Just type it in YouTube, type it in type it on Facebook, but subscribe, like the button. You're watching Real Talk with Ellasin. We're talking to Sergeant Wilfred Antoine and Jaquita Garrett, and they have been dropping some nuggets, and I have greatly appreciated it. So let me ask this question. Youth who are detained or incarcerated, are they subjected to negative circumstances? Jaquita, what do you think from your point? And then, Sarge, I want to come to you.
Well, from my experience, me working in a juvenile facility that I did work in, I won't say things weren't good within the facility. I think they really tried their hardest, and probably still currently today trying their hardest to rehabilitate these kids, mentor these kids. They had set programs, certain times to get up, certain times they had to eat breakfast. I wouldn't say that every system has failed, but I would say the system that I've experienced within St. Tammany Parish on our side, I don't know how it worked over there in New Orleans Parish with the juveniles at Bridge City. I think over here we were held to a different standards. Like some of the things that were happening on that side, on the South Shore, not as many things has happened as bad on the North Shore, if I make sense. So they had daily activities. They had class they had to attend. They had their credits were able to be transferred over when they did return to school. I won't say everything was all bad. We did have such things that we would place them in timeout. We couldn't discipline them in certain forms, but at the same time we could to an extent. But we had something called the timeout method. It does work for the younger youth because the facility would take kids between the age of 10 and 18. And if you were still on probation at 19 and you violated, they still were able to come back into the facility up until 21 if the crime wasn't a harsh crime. But, they had skills that they had set for the kids. I would I really want to be honest to say that they do start off trying their hardest to rehabilitate the kids. So if you were in ninth grade, they made sure you had the classes that you needed to transfer back into high school to finish your actual courses. They had complex skills. We did advanced skills. We did intermediate skills. We did basic skills. ADLs. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I'm saying I'm hearing that,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds like that was pretty good, but I don't think that's probably it. I guess it might be it depends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because from research, I've read overcrowding. Sometimes physical and sexual violence happens. Risk of suicide, death. Different things like that. The negative circumstances because. Again, either I can't handle this facility because some of the juvenile facilities are just as hard as the prisons, or I'm young and the grown, and now this is what I'm subjected to. And Sarge, you want to speak to that?
So the way I'm looking at this is, so what Ms. Jaquita is, I'm trying to grasp what she's saying is, I call that the low hanging fruit. The kids that's getting all of the grades and doing what they're supposed to do and get back to the classroom and going back home and trying to do what's right. I call that the low hanging fruit. And by low hanging fruit, I mean, that's the ones we were talking about earlier when you said about the, what was that? When you said about the kids truancy and doing things of that nature. So that's not the bad kids that's being able to be rehabilitated and move forward. And when we're talking about the North Shore versus the
South Shore,
it's like, it's like talking Alaska versus New Orleans. And like I tell people a lot of the time, the kids down here in New Orleans are different from the kids on the North Shore, different from the kids in Slidell, different from the kids even where I'm from, 20 minutes away. Because they are hardened to the point where they might step out their door and they're walking over a dead body at 5, 6 years old. So that's trauma, that's mental trauma from that age. So that's what I know. I'm watching my mom sit here and shoot up. I'm watching my dad shoot up. Watching my dad go out and kill or doing these things. And this is at an early age. Here we go back to the environment, the mental state, the broken boys. So all juvenile systems, of course, aren't going to be fair, just like life ain't fair. So the North Shore kids, and I'm going to say something that I'm going to step on a few toes. Most of them kids that's out there that's in the juvenile facility, they don't look like you and I. But when you look at the juvenile facility that's in New Orleans, they look like you and I. And we are being treated different. And the funds that's coming from the state and the federal government, it might be there, but it's not being there to the extent of it being there to other facilities where the kids don't look like you and I.
Understood. So the kids on this side, believe it or not, from experience, they look like you and I. Okay. The majority looks like you and I. Will I agree with you on the fact that you said that the financial side of it makes it different? Yes. Is this a parish that may be able to financially maintain that juvenile facility better than the juvenile facility on the South Shore? I'm absolutely 100% in agreement with you on that. Not disagreeing with you with that at all. We actually, believe it or not, we have a lot of kids that resides on the South Shore and they come over to the North Shore to commit the crime. So we have had several of those housed here as well. Me being from the city, yes, the mentality can be different. One thing I will say is I wouldn't underestimate. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I wouldn't underestimate the rural areas because a lot of crimes that take place over here, I would say they can be hidden. They're probably not advertised through the news as much. I mean, the publicity that Orleans Parish gets, St. Tammany Parish does not get. So I do agree with you on some levels, but as far as our kind, I promise you the facility over here is mostly housed with our kind, starting from 10 years old to 17.
So let me say this, because you guys are both from, You guys are both from Louisiana. So
Correct.
let me
Mhm.
say this, right? So New Orleans, y'all from there. We're talking about, like, we have people on here from everywhere.
Mhm.
And I would like to say that it's different everywhere. However, what I did read was the national average, Louisiana comes in second.
Mhm.
Second to the national average of like deaths and crime, and
Yep.
second, guys. So I guess it don't matter what parish, it comes in second as a
Mhm.
whole.
As
And
a
we
whole.
have got to do something to help our children, and it starts with the environment, like I heard both of you saying, and I think a comment came on. So because I'm from the suburbs, and this was me, I'm from the suburbs, but I'm going to the Bronx to hang out
Yep.
because it's more fun over there. It's popping over there. Ain't nothing
Mhm.
happening out in the suburbs, right?
Mhm.
So here I go, oh, suburban bougie me, over there to the Bronx and popping. And when I tell you things are popping and come, they're not gonna say, oh, you from Queens, you're not going to jail. No, they're not gonna say that. We all going together, right?
Mhm.
And those are the kids, whether it be boys or girls, because truth is, we have a lot of females in there too. So whether boys or girls, if I'm from a certain status quo or whatever the case may be, and now I'm put in somewhere where it's blowing my
Mhm.
mind, this can affect my whole mental stability.
Right.
My whole mental stability. Is mental health being addressed in our facilities?
Can I answer that?
Yes, sir. Please
So
go ahead.
is being addressed to a certain extent, but I'm going to say this, and um, we are correctional officers. So in our facilities, we only can do so much. Okay,
Yep.
we're not mental health experts, but yet they still take these guys, these ladies, guys, and put them in facilities because they don't have enough mental health hospitals. Then they come in, they don't get the right medications, and then they go back on the street. So you just taking the problem and making it worse. Because again, we are not mental health professionals, we are correctional officers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so with that being said, in my research, it said 2/3 of youth, right? Starting with the youth, because everybody starts off as a babe. So 2/3 of the youth in detention center or correctional settings, they have at least one diagnosable mental health disorder. At least one. At least one. And it doesn't have to be the bipolar or the schizophrenia, but it could be rejection, abandonment. It could be, some kind of emotional instability. It could just be a whole lot, but it said 2/3 of our youth in these facilities have at least one. And why? And I don't know, you guys probably can't answer this, but we need to do more. We need to do more. We've got to do more in these facilities to help these kids out, because they're not getting it at home. The streets are not giving it to them. Now they're in these facilities. If we're not addressing these issues, Quita, how can we put these youth back into our environment?
Well, it starts with rehabilitation. I will say that. That's why I was speaking on a minute ago about the basic skills, like the resources. We have to start with resources. We have to have individuals that are willing to take time out their day to say, whether it's mentors, whether it's advocates, whether it's counselors, take time out our day to put forth the effort to show these children change. It starts with, for one, if a child doesn't think you care and they
Mm-hmm.
can't see through you, from their environment, they can tell if it's
Genuine.
genuine or if it's not genuine. Even, that's how the world works. So if we can take the time to show these kids that we care and we just really not here just for a paycheck, then eventually it's like a banana. You can start to peel back the layers to get
Mm-hmm.
that child's attention. If you can show them you care. I've done it. I've been able to watch a child do a whole 360
Don't
after
share.
coming.
Don't share yet. Don't share yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm just saying. So you said I'm trying to answer the question when you say rehabilitate. Can we do it?
About the mental health.
Okay, so technically, yes, it's possible. We do have to show the kids that we care, and it starts with staff. to be honest, whether it's a juvenile facility, whether it's adult facility, a lot of these corrections officers have the mentality, if you don't care, I don't care. So I'm here to get my check and we're going to play this game together. But then you do have some staff that genuinely care. And these kids, like you said, Sergeant Wilfred, came out their front door and stepped over a body. They hard. So I do
Yeah.
understand that. But when they're young and they're hard, and I know a lot of them been through trauma, even through trauma, if you can show one, if you could save one, help one, save
Right.
one. I mean, it makes a major difference.
So okay, so thank you for that. So you guys put it in the chat, hashtag we care. Hashtag we care. Put it in the chat. So I'm hearing about school. I'm hearing about different kind of programs. Sarge, do we have psychiatrists or psychologists on staff to help with, because if 2/3 can be diagnosed with a mental illness, who's on staff here to address these mental health issues?
So I know in the facility where I work at, we don't really have mental health staff. Now we do have telehealth, where we have a doctor come on and speak to them about mental health and, move forward like that. And through our program, the reentry program, we have a doctor that come in every Friday and try to address. But when you're only doing it once a week or twice a week and you housing many individuals, it's not enough, if that makes sense, because I only can see so many people a week, and one session do not get to the bottom of anything. You need sessions, sessions upon sessions upon sessions, because today I might go in there and I might lock up and not say anything. Tomorrow I might give you a whole book. Then the next day I might not say. So it's not they're there, but it's not enough.
It's not enough. So I heard what Jaquita said. Does rehabilitation look different in juvenile detention centers than it does in like prisons?
I really can't answer that because, again, I haven't never worked in a juvenile system. That probably
okay. So tell us a little bit about what it looks like in prisons.
In prisons, well, where I'm at, like I explained just now, a mental health doctor come on the screen and they would, diagnose them, talk to them, and speak with them and see where they at from there. And basically, that's all we get where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they need any more mental health, we send them out to facilities that can help them once the doctor on our screen diagnoses them. And that's the kind of help we give them. And whatever kind of medications that the doctor will prescribe, that's what we do.
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like we need to do better with the mental health, because we know that the mental health affects the behavior. So really, there could be the behavior is because of the mental health issue and it's not being addressed. This is why the behavior possibly could continue.
Correct. That is correct, because if you don't address the mental health, you don't address the problem, and the problem keep going forward. So mental health, again, is the key, because let's be honest, no one really want to do what they're doing. And you speak to most of the guys where I'm at, yeah, you have some of them that's just there because, okay, I was an idiot, I was a knucklehead, I know I can do better, and they go out and they do better. But then you have the ones that's there, and when you sit down and start talking to them, and you have grown men busting out crying in front of you because of mental health, and they don't think they have it. But when you watching a grown man cry, like I said before when I referred to Dr. Jason Wilson, Cave of Adullam on ESPN. I know I might be doing something wrong here. I'm not sure, but it's a real good documentary.
What's the name of the documentary?
Cave of Adullam, ABDULLUM.
Somebody, y'all got to put that in the chat so I can remember. Cave,
CAV of Abdullam, ABDULLUM. It's on
Okay.
ESPN. Um,
Okay.
it's narrated by Lawrence Fishburne. It's a real great documentary, and when you watch
Okay.
this, it's going to speak volumes of what I'm saying. Like, I'm gonna give you a little bit. I hope I'm not doing nothing wrong. Um,
No, it doesn't
this
sound like
No,
it. It sounds like
you're
you
kid,
just.
fine.
they had this one kid on there that it was saying he was ADHD and everything else. Uh, Dr. Wilson, Jason Wilson went there. Kid is doing what he's doing, and it was all because of trauma. He took the kid off the med. I don't know if the kid was on medicine. I might be speaking out of turn, but I'm watching him take this kid. Kid couldn't stay still for 10 seconds. After
Mm.
about 30 seconds of him working with this kid became one of the most successful kid out of his program because he had trauma within himself, and that's what was causing a lot of it.
Yeah.
So if trauma is building and we're not addressing trauma and mental health,
Yeah.
that's your cycle. And it's going to keep going.
So I want to address this comment. It says about the elected officials. So would you say it's also a funding thing? Do we need more funds?
Yes, because here in Louisiana, Ms. Jaquita could speak to that. We don't have a whole lot of mental health facilities to help with this. You know,
Agree.
across the nation, let's be honest, you have more prisons than mental health. And does everyone in there that's locked up along there? Yeah, they did a crime. They committed a crime, so they need to be. I'm not going to say punished. They need to be corrected on it. But at the
I like
same
that.
time, at the same time, if you address the mental health, it won't happen again. But if I just put you in there, lock and feed you, and don't give you the mental help you need or whatever else help you need, what will you do when you come out? You're going to do what you know.
Yeah.
Or as you're sitting in there, what normally happens is, and I've been told by people that I know personally, family members, they said that, just people I know overall, that when you sit and you don't get the rehabilitation, what it does is the mind tends to take over, and
Yeah.
instead of it being something positive, it turns into something negative. And I was told that sometimes sitting in there for a while and not getting the rehabilitation, it just makes you a better criminal. It makes you think
Yeah.
about what you did prior and how can you be more successful at completing the crime the next go around. Is what I was informed of by people who have been incarcerated in
Yeah.
their adulthood. And then at that point, the choice is, do I want to be a better criminal? And I like what Sergeant Wilfred said. I love it. I think it's amazing when you said, instead of being punished, being corrected. I think the
Yes.
terms we use make a
Good.
difference too. So I appreciate
Yes.
that. That's a new
Yes.
one, and I'm
Yes.
going to use it.
You
Yes.
can't
Me
have
too.
it.
Yeah. Put it in the chat. Hashtag corrected. Hashtag corrected. Yes.
Correct,
So let me
correct.
ask you this. There's a distinct point, right? In the process which the communities and agencies can intervene with not only the lives of youth, but people being rehabilitated back into the community, right? So are we as a community doing enough to assist these people to get reacclimated, right? Regardless if they're juveniles or even adults, are we doing enough, right? Are the churches, what are we doing enough to help them get reacclimated? Quita, you want to jump on that first?
I believe it's a lot more that we can do as a community or as a whole. Listening to Sergeant Wilfred when he said that, when we kind of went back and forth in regards to the parishes, I would say that maybe this parish that I reside in is a parish that has more funding as opposed to the parish over there. So maybe some of the things I was explaining about the basic skills and the intermediate skills, maybe we have the funding to do that, as opposed to over there, we really can't even get correctional officers to want to, apply for jobs in that system because of it being so broken. So I mean, I think we can do more. I think that this side of the parish could do more to come together with that side. What we're missing, maybe they can help us and vice versa. But it takes, like you said, it takes a village to make that happen,
It's a village. It Takes a village, right? And then Sarge, you're over the reentry, right?
The security part of it, yes, ma'am,
The
and
security
also
part of the
the work.
reentry.
Correct.
How important is that to help them get reacclimated? And then there was the comment where it says, what can like churches do? What can like community, other than community services? Says many young people don't want to see a church, but we still want to help. So what can the church do in terms of prevention and even maybe reentry? So can you speak to that a little bit?
So the church can do what you don't see this anymore. You used to have what the churches would weekly. You know, I'm Baptist, so we churches used to every so often, once a month, will go out and actually have church in the community for the whole week. You know, they would pitch tent and go to different areas of the community. Like I'm gonna name a few communities in my area. I'm from Plaquemines Parish again. We're down 20 minutes, 30, 40 minutes from New Orleans. So our churches would go out once a week. Today they would be in Port Salford, tomorrow they would be in Berries, then Home Place, and they was going to different communities. They don't do that anymore. And that's what we are missing. We're missing the churches coming to us instead of us going to the church. Because let's be real, I go to church here and there, not too often. I do, believe in God, and people's not going to church anymore. You know, we had to go to church, and that's why I keep saying we're missing church. So, the churches, from the way I came up, are failing us now. Because too many times the churches want you to come to them, where the older preachers were going to the churches. We're going to the people. You don't have that anymore. So that's where I'm at with the church. So until they get back to the roots of coming out and having a night out and whatever, we're not going to have that. The only time you hear from the churches now is night out against crime. And I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna step on some preacher toes if they're on here, and hey, let it be known. Like I say, I'm raw. We real talk. You know, on time is for pastor anniversaries, church anniversaries, choir anniversary, or this and that. Because you know why, right? Everybody putting a little money in their pockets. They're not worrying about the community no more. Before you and I know for a fact, you could go to the church and say, pastor or father, I can't pay my light bill this week. You know what that pastor or that father or that Catholic church would say? I got you, baby. Don't worry. You know, I go ask the pastor, no, I got to pay my Cadillac bill. I don't have no time for this. You know, and we being real.
Yeah. We got to get back to the streets. That's what I'm hearing.
Back to the streets. You know,
right.
That's what we're missing when we're talking about churches in the community.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna open my door.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna open my door for you to come and give me money on pastor anniversary, church anniversary, choir anniversary thing. And that's not all pastors, because one pastor I can speak on right here, Greater Evergreen Baptist Church off of North Taunton and Chloe Street. That pastor does a lot, always giving fundraisers, and outside his church, he's giving food drives and clothing and things of that nature. So I know I can speak on that because I visit his church every so often, and he's always doing for the community. So and churches that it don't affect, in other words, like my grandmother used to tell me, if the shoe don't fit, don't worry about it. If it fits you, wear it.
Eric said, if you can't say amen, say ouch. So listen, not only that, right, in the community, but then there's also, Muriel said our church used to go witness into different housing areas. We would serve hot dogs and chips, and they would have church. I don't know if COVID did it. I don't know if the environment did it. I don't know if the crime did it. It's just so much that's changing. I know there are churches that still do prison ministries, different things like that. We just have to do more, right? And if you named one church that was doing it, well, that's one church for all those people. And I know it's more than that one, but right. Can you imagine if every church, I can't remember where I was, but I think it was 2 blocks and we counted 10 churches. So
Right.
can you imagine every church got out there and been a part of the community, how many we could reach doing that? So
Right.
I thank you guys for both speaking on that. So I want to end on a positive note, right? And this is how I want to end. Do you guys have any success stories?
So I have a few. Like I said, we have our reentry program, and the guys come through. We give them CBTs, which is cognitive behavior therapy, IBCs, industry-based certificates, meaning they learn carpentry, C-Tech, the low voltage wiring housing, and we also have a work release program. Right now, we have at least 6 guys out on our work release program that's working, and when they get out, they're going to have money and a job. And we have other guys in the community that I stay in touch with on a daily basis that got out, that came through our program, and they're doing well. And I stay in touch with them. I speak to them every 2 weeks. And a couple of them been out for like 3-4 years now. And it's a every 2 week thing that I'll call them or they'll call me, or if things get
Right.
on, they'll call, hey Antoine, man, look, this is such and such. Let's stay on this phone so we could talk you through this. So we have multiple success stories. I wish we could have more than what we have, but hey, like you said, we could do one, we're good. But right now, I have a few, so
Right.
I'm good with that.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Muriel said our church have teams which write to inmates each week. Okay, that's good. And many inmates write back. That's a good thing to get, because sometimes the family has given up and they don't be bothered and they don't have anybody. Right. So success story, Quita.
I do have a successful story. I do want to start off by saying that God is good. I'll try to be as quickly as possible with my success story. I won't say a name, but she know who she is. We love you deeply. And my success story is I had a youth years ago, because I've been away from the facility for about 5 years or so now. So when she gotten older, she reached out. She reached out to me. Social media not hard to find. She said that she wanted to do better with her life. She told me when she was in the facility, she came back for the same crime 3 different times. I think I showed her from her first entry that, someone cares, even though you may feel like others don't care. She came back in 3 times for the same crime. For the 3rd time that she came back in, it was more of a teaching moment. I wasn't as willing to just listen to her story. I kind of had to be stern. I told her I want to see her win in life. I want to see her do great things. She was smart. She was in the 9th grade, and she read and took tests and passed on a 12th grade level. She actually was 16 years old. Unfortunately, her mom is incarcerated. Her mom was incarcerated. Her grandmother passed away. She had to make a choice. I mentored her. She ended up going to a college, HBCU. At 17 years old, she is now a sophomore in college, doing amazingly well, and she did not fall back into the juvenile justice system. So she is my success story. Love her to pieces. She know who she is, and so if you could reach one, teach one, save one.
Amen. I like that. Is that your nugget? Reach one, teach one,
save one.
Save one. Say it one more time so we can put it in the chat.
Reach one, teach one, save one.
Reach one, teach one, save one. I like that. Sarge, give us a nugget. Quita, that's your nugget?
That's my nugget.
Okay, Sarge.
Let's not be there on in the front. Let's be there in the back. So my nugget is basically saying, let's not be there when the lights are on, but let's be there when it's dark.
That's it.
But that's when they need us the most.
That's right. That's right. Woo, that's good. Amen. Amen. You guys, listen, the research that I did, I was so alarmed. I didn't know what to do with myself, but you guys have really, really, really gave some great nuggets, and I appreciate each and every one of you for, just giving us some input from your own different perspective, which was really good to see the difference between the juvenile as well as the adults, right? So I know that my takeaway is that we need to do more to help with this mental health issue. We need to as a church, we need to hit the streets, and we need to make sure we get these youth so that we can help them before they be in the system and adults in the system. Amen. So like Quita said, reach one, teach one, save one. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for just showing up and for all your comments. We appreciate it. Sarge, I appreciate you so much. Let me see you smile, Sarge.
I'm not too much of a smiler.
He smiled just now.
Yeah, I had to.
I knew it. I was like, I'm going to get him before the show's over.
That's not right now. That's not fair.
Look, Ellasin.
Sergeant Wilfred, thank you so much. Hopefully this will not be the last that I see of you. Hopefully, Jaquita, of course, thank you, my dear. I know it's not the last that I'll see of you. Listen, guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning into Real Talk with Ellasin. And next month is Black History, but we're doing Black History with a twist, right? So you guys tune in next month as we'll be talking about different parts of Black history, dropping some real nuggets about Black history. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Show a sister some love, because as you can see, we are here to educate the community, because we don't want to just educate you guys. We want to educate you guys, equip you guys to be involved and do something about it. Again, my name is Ellasin, and thank you so much for watching Real Talk. You guys have a blessed evening. Mwah!
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.